Good morning, Annapolis time, already 8:37, and here it is, the 75th anniversary of D-Day, fight on the Second World War, especially with the Nazis on this date, and going into Europe, and got a book here. It doesn't deal with D-Day, but it's called War Boat. It's a River Sunday romance mystery written by Thomas Holliday, and they're kind of getting ready to fight the Nazis before the Second World War. Good morning, Thomas. Welcome back to WNAV.
Bill, it's good to talk to you again.
Good to have you on board. Okay, now you've written several books in the past that deal with River Sunday. Tell us what River Sunday is all about, Tom.
Well, it's a little town that I made up, a fictional town on the eastern shore of Maryland. Typical town down there with rivers all around. It's a town that I believe, at least from my thinking, is a microcosm of the country. It's got beautiful nature, it's got strong people, and it's got a continuing battle of good versus evil. And all my stories basically follow that town. And in this book, it's based on the tradition of that part of the Chesapeake being visited by Nazi U-boats prior to World War II, boats that were sent over to pick up donations from a lot of American citizens who liked Hitler. And they provide money and gold. At least that was the tradition, what we heard, that they would take back to Germany.
Okay, well, this book's interesting. It starts out with this gentleman driving into town, John Thornton, who's has his family was originally from River Sunday, but he had moved away. His family had moved away, and he was born up in New England or Long Island or somewhere. Where was that? Connecticut? Someplace up in that area.
Up in Maine.
Maine, okay.
His father was two boys, himself and another, his brother, were the sons of a man in River Sunday, a leader, who helped the town and convinced the town to build a ship with guns on it to protect them against these Nazi submarines in case of war. And they felt very attacked by these boats. And the boat was called War Boat. And the story goes into how this boat was set sail, was betrayed by a local trader, and eventually sunk by a Nazi U-boat with the loss of many volunteers from the town. His father grew up and was trying to look at this problem himself and find the trader, and he was sent out of town by this local powers and went to Maine and was in the military and so forth. And his son was brought up there and dedicated and convinced by his father to maybe go back to the town and find the trader.
Okay, well, he comes back to the town, and the town, they had a boatyard, right? They built that boat.
That's right. And the shipyard had built these boats in World War I. And so they pulled out some of the old plans and scrounged around for guns and radios and so forth. In those days, prior to 1941, the country was not interested in fighting the Germans. There was a great split in the country, a lot of isolationism. And the story goes into what happened in the town while they were building the boat. Goes into some of the racism and especially the power of this family, the Henrys, who had come in the colonial days as a German family and was very dedicated to old Viking religion and to oppressive powers over their small town that they had set up. And it seems behind the lines you're seeing this English versus German kind of conflict going through the years. Until it seems to explode in the days of World War II.
Okay, we're talking to Thomas Holliday about his book, War Boat, River Sunday Romance Mystery on WNAV. And so John comes back, maybe going to sell the boatyard, maybe not going to. There's offers for the boatyard. There's confusion. He's sort of a self-made guy that's in the real estate business. And he doesn't know what he's going to do when he first arrives back at River City, but he's going to snoop around and find out what he can or River Sunday, snoop around and find out what he can, and then come to some conclusions, and at the same time hunt around and see if he can find out more about the warboat tragedy, because it's like a local lore thing, and he's going to find out more information on that too.
That's right, and I working with you over the years, I know that you're probably one of my best experts on the Chesapeake and, of course, the Eastern Shore. You know the people. What did you think of the book?
I thought it was great. I thought it was interesting, too, how you use some local names like Jane Tallchester, because I remember going to Tallchester Amusement Park as a kid. That was great. I loved that. The thing about this book, and the books you've had before, there are some outrageous things that happen in these stories.
That's right, and I usually write them with a sense of the nature of the area. I always have an animal in every story. And in this case, it's cicadas, and you remember them.
Yeah, sure.
I remember them from when I was little. We used to pick them up and throw them at each other, and they're not dangerous or anything. I remember having to clean the porch with all of their skeletons, and they used to get stuck in my toes. The cicadas were a wonderful animal to have as a background of this story over the weeks that it took place.
Yeah, I remember.
And of course, the hero, the guy he's against, Tom Henry, remarks one time that he's kind of like a cattle baron in the old movies, building his empire. And his lawyer says to him, well, all those cattle barons get killed by people like Wyatt Earp. And he said, well, there's no Wyatt Earp around here, and I'm going to keep on building until I got my own country here. And
he was trying to
that kind of gives you a feeling for what this young man is up against.
Oh, he's up against everything.
A wonderful girl who's a archaeologist.
Oh, Pebbles.
Who has researched the Viking settlement and the Viking exploration of the area from quite early times, and she shows him some of the things that are going on. And together they find some of the clues to this German and Nazi kind of background in the area.
Yeah, you got to read the book to find out what really happens. Can't let too much out of the bag.
No.
But it was.
But it keeps you running.
It does. It's one of those books you just hate because you can't stop reading it from the time you start. You open it up and you got to read
I've been lucky, and my reviews have been great.
Yeah.
I publish these books through Amazon, which gives me the firepower to write it like I like. I don't have to deal with all the New York issues and so forth of what kind of books are popular and so forth. This is a book that I think applies to the family. It's multi-generational. Everybody can find someone in it that they like. And most important, it gives you the feeling of people that don't give up when they're up against a lot of evil. Thornton finds friends that come out of the woodwork to help him. And then, of course, with all the things that happen, they begin to get real clues of who this traitor was. And, of course, then he gets shot at. And he knows he's on the trail of something.
Yeah. Yeah, this is interesting, too, because they have this. You have these other people in there that everybody's concerned about and afraid about. They're scared to death of the bishop and things like that.
That's right. And this goes back to, in writing a book like this, I had to get into the Viking mentality. The Vikings were very powerful. They were also very good people. And they built a civilization in Europe that was very strong. This group that seems to have settled on the Eastern Shore was an offshoot. They were extremely radical. And when they came to the United States, it was almost as though they'd been thrown out of Europe because they simply were too vicious. And so you see the background of this family. They have a church that they built, which is very much in the Viking style, and it's extremely oppressive. So you get this contrast between the English and the settlers that built America, and then this group that's sort of festering there, almost wanting to have their own country.
Yeah, that's right. The Henry family, and they're in they do everything. They're in canned goods and good in everybody's pocket too. Hey, so
yeah, they were in a lot of businesses. Anything they could make money.
Mm-hmm.
Their philosophy was to give people things that make them happy, and then scare the daylights out of them.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's an interesting book, Tom. It's written. How do we get a copy of this?
Well, it's on Amazon. If you're a Amazon Unlimited member, you can actually get the audio book, or the not the audio book, but the ebook, free of charge on your membership. It also comes in paperback, and I think people will enjoy it, especially at this time. So much interest in the invasion of Europe and so forth, all those times. It tries to give you a feeling of what it was like then, and what it's like now, and sort of the issues that are involved.
Okay, well, we'll have to check it out. It's a great book. I enjoyed reading it. I look forward to your next one. You're still writing, right? You're not going to stop. Huh?
All my land, yes, and I've got books on track that are going to. All my books try to take this small town and put it up against an evil that affects the whole world.
Okay.
So we kind of got a little bit different thing than the local problems. We got major international problems, and these people kind of take it on.
Okay, well, we'll look forward to the next one. Tom, I got to run, but hey, thank you very much for calling in this morning. Enjoyed the book, and look forward to your next one.
Well, many thanks, Bill. Good talking to you.
Good talking to you. That's Thomas Holliday. The book Warboat. Look for it on Amazon. A River Sunday romance mystery. You're going to enjoy it.